We're here with some Historic on MTGArena. I've been playing a whole lot of Historic over the past few weeks, and it's my favorite constructed format right now. There are a whole bunch of viable decks, all sorts of color combinations that you can play, all sorts of archetypes that you can play, control, aggro, mid-range, combo, just a great time all around. And today I'm going to take one of the pillars of the format, Gruul Monsters, out for a spin. If you're going to play Historic, you're going to run into this deck a whole bunch. So no better way to learn how to play against it than to play with it. Plus, it's pretty good on its own. It's pretty fun. Pretty straightforward deck. Not too complicated. You're trying to get a bunch of power onto the board as quickly as possible, whether that be ramping with Llanowar Elves or putting down a Pelt Collector and following it up with a Burning Tree Emissary into another creature. You want to get some Questing Beast and play Questing Beast and Embercleave is a wonderful combo because of Embercleave giving First Strike and Trample, and Questing Beast having Death Touch. You only need to deal 1 damage to each creature, and you will kill them before they get to deal damage to the Questing Beast. It's almost impossible to block correctly. You've got a little bit of interaction with Bone Crusher Giant and Domri's Ambush, and then there's usually a couple slots that you can mess around with however you see fit. A lot of decks will run a red-green 2-2 with Riot, so often it's a 2-mana 3-3. But I think in the format right now, Scavenging Ooze is just a little bit better. Scavenging Ooze matches up very well in the mirror match, in the other heavy creature-focused matchups. Scavenging Ooze can just become pretty enormous. And so I've been rolling with that one. So we're going to take this deck out for a spin. We usually play about 5 games and see how it goes. This is going to be best of 1. Now, Historic is in a very weird spot where, due to Nexus of Fate being legal in best of 3 but not best of 1, the two metagames have kind of evolved quite differently. Whereas best of 1 is wide open. There's, I think I mentioned it a second ago, but at least 20 different decks that you can play. Best of 3 is pretty concise. There's about 5 real decks, a couple fringe playable things that can like sneak up there and do some damage. But we're going to be doing the best of 1 for this. Our opponent is going to open on Cauldron Familiar, so we'll open with Llanowar Elves. And then next turn we can play Pelt Collector and then put a counter on Pelt Collector and kill Stealthling if we wish. Yeah, like that. Oh, I don't even have to pay 2 now. Pelt Collector. Domri's Ambush. Go ahead and kill the Priest of the Forgotten Gods. It looks like our opponent might be mono... Okay, they're Rakdos. Never mind. I was going to say, the mono-black matchup's kind of rough. But this one's not as bad. Although that is a 4-4. Here we can play Questing Beast. And we're going to go ahead and get in there. If they want to trade Fiend Artisan, that's fine. That card can be a big problem. We still have a big Embercleave to drop next turn. And we definitely want that Fiend Artisan off of the board. Luckily, Embercleave really messes with Witch's Oven. Their typical combo of being able to block with the Familiar just doesn't get it done this time. Thanks to Trample. Now we're going to attack for 10. So thanks to the Trample, them sacking lets us still do damage. Village Rites is a new card from Core Set 2021 that I really like. I'd like to try to find more room for it in other decks. Just 1 mana, draw 2 cards for the low price of sacrificing a creature is something you can work around very easily. Well, this is a little unfortunate. That Fiend Artisan is quite large. But we will still get in there with the Pelt Collector. They have to block. We still do some damage. Our second Pelt Collector grows, and then we can move Embercleave over to it. And we'll go ahead and re-equip. They'll have a 3/3 Trampler. With Double Strike. We really want to fade another Fiend Artisan. I wonder if I want to attack with the Llanowar Elves. I don't think so. I think we'll go ahead and just trade with this Woe Strider. Do some more damage. Play another creature. Re-equip the Emissary. And continue just having these threats that they have to deal with. And at some point, if we draw something like a Questing Beast or the 1 red-green 3/3 with Riot, whose name escapes me, Gruul Spellbreaker, I believe, we can really apply a lot more pressure. We have direct damage. A Domri's Ambush at this point is just backbreaking to them. We'll be able to kill their 5/4 that they're going to probably replay here. So we're in a good spot. It's not locked up yet. We definitely have things to worry about. Oh, Robber of the Rich. Pretty good. The question is, I don't want to handle this. I think I want to attack with everything. Oh, I will gladly take a Priest of the Forgotten Gods. I think their graveyard is pretty thin now. Yes, only 2 cards. Take them to 1. And now we have a manner of making them lose 2 life. Which is pretty interesting, because it means we can respond to Witch's Oven with a Priest trigger next turn. Oh. Yeah, Judith is a problem. They're going to be able to kill most of our creatures now. Not quite all of them. Oh, Domri's Ambush is pretty good here. In fact, it might be good enough. Go ahead and try to kill Woe Strider. They have to do a lot of sacrificing now. And then we can move the Embercleave over. How many cards in the graveyard? I got 5 cards in the graveyard again. think they were supposed to use Witch's Oven first. Oh, that's fine. I can bring back one of these. Yeah, I think that should do it. Maybe. I don't know. The math is tough. The Aristocrats' math is always a little tough. I think they could have killed my Burning Tree and kept their 5/4. Let me look at this. Okay, so what I want to do here... If I kill both of these, the 2 pings from Judith will kill the Burning Tree. If I only kill the Judith, I win. So let's do that. We'll send all 4 damage to the Judith. They ping us once. And then we're going to trample over for the win. So I think we got this one. For those of you that have mostly played on Arena, that is something that's not obvious right off the bat. You don't have to assign like excess damage to the other creatures. Even though there's only 2 toughness on the Judith and 1 toughness for the cat, we had 4 power, you don't have to assign 2 1 and 1 for it to trample over. You can assign all of it to the first creature. And it doesn't come up very often, but when it does, it can be very important, just like that. If we had have assigned it like normal, they would have been able to kill our Burning Tree Emissary there. And who knows how that game would have ended up. But we were able to get on the win column. Boom. Feels pretty good. Now, I believe MTGArena has it set automatically to always assign quote-unquote optimal damage, which means as little as possible to kill the first creature and then more on the next one. But there is a setting in your settings, and I'll bring it up here at the start of this game, that you can untick that box and it'll ask you to do it yourself. This hand is fine, I suppose. Not the best, but Burning Tree is a free 2/2. We get to interact with the opponent. A lot of removal. So it's right here. If you go to the cog and then gameplay, you want to uncheck auto assign combat damage. And that'll do it for you. Oh, well now our hand's quite good. Scavenging Ooze is awesome. So what will... Oh, yeah, that feels great. Now, we don't want to play out the Ooze right away, because then it can get shocked with their own Bone Crusher Giant. So what we want to do is just kill their Llanowar Elves and wait to play Scavenging Ooze at a time where we can play Ooze and eat a bunch of creatures in their graveyard. Scavenging Ooze can really take over this matchup, and we want to protect it the best we can. No blocks. It's down to 3 cards plus the Bone Crusher. It's going to depend on what their hand is. Domery's Ambush is pretty rough. That's a pretty rough card for us here. Question now is what we want to do. How many creatures? 1, 2... We can make a 4/4 Ooze. And hold back a couple creatures. I think that's pretty good. And we just want to go ahead and eat things right away. We don't want to let them have another Bone Crusher Giant and get us. Yeah, we can attack with Burning Tree Emissary, sure. Now, what we really don't want to see is them having an Embercleave here pretty soon. Oh, another ambush. Ah, that's very unfortunate. That is quite unfortunate. Yeah, we're in trouble now. We are in trouble. We have our own ambush, but our creatures aren't big enough at this point. We can't... we can't Bone Crusher. Oh, do we have to just play a Bone Crusher as a 4/3? We can Dome Reef's ambush their Bone Crusher Giant. But that takes us to 4. And that's not enough to survive. So I think we just have to play this as a 4/3, and it feels really bad. I'll give it haste. Interesting. Well, we'll try to kill that one. And then chump here. We take 4. If the last card is, you know, something that deals 2, then there is nothing we could do. Oh, and it is. Unfortunate. Yeah, their hand was just better than ours. Their double Dome Reef's ambush just kinda got us. Also, being on the play in this matchup is really important. The sideboarding in best of 3 in that matchup is very interesting. You can either shift to a more aggressive deck, or shave a lot of the aggressive cards in your deck and go more control. You can side in a lot of removal and bigger monsters like the Hellkite. It's a 5-mana 4/4 with Riot, so you become a 5/5 flyer, which is pretty cool. Best of 3 in Historic is some really, really interesting stuff. We'll be doing some videos in Best of 3 as well. There's going to be a lot of Historic videos coming up. I'm planning on releasing 2 to 3 videos a week for the next little bit, exploring a whole bunch of different decks in the format. This hand's also not the best if we don't find a follow-up. Hands without a way to get out there early are a little frustrating, like without a 1-drop. But drawing the Scavenging Ooze is pretty good there. Means we get to put 4 power on the board on turn 2. And unlike in the red-green matchup, we definitely do just want to get our Ooze out and play against any form of control, Teamer or 4-color, Field of the Dead, whatever it is. And it does look like it'll be Field of the Dead. And we can now confirm that. Ooze being able to eat any potential Uro is very nice. Here we actually just want haste. We want to put as much pressure onto the opponent as possible. Additionally, next turn we get to drop Embercleave. If we don't draw a land, if we draw a land, we get to drop Questing Beast. Alright, unfortunate. And we will again go with haste. Try to apply as much pressure as possible. Teferi shutting down Embercleave feels bad. On the bright side, we should be able to kill this Teferi. Hopefully because we draw a land and get to play Questing Beast. A land here would be enormous. We would get to kill Teferi, take them to 6. But it is not in the cards.
That's how it was meant to happen.
Yeah, a land either of the last 2 turns, I think, would have made this game a runaway win for us. Instead, I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be close anymore. I have not seen that card be used. That's very interesting. Or that one. Well, they can pay 1 to deal 2 right now. Unfortunate. This is not great. Well, this is a shrine deck. Field of the Dead Shrines. That's interesting. I've not seen that. Just a very good example of how much variety there is in decks. Okay, trample over for 1. Play Llanowar Elves. They don't have a ton of cards. I think we discard Questing Beast and Scavenging Ooze. Sanctum of All. Alright. Questing Beast it is. But we have a problem now, because I think they get the white one, and the white one's just going to be able to tap down any of our creatures for the foreseeable future. Yeah, I think we're in trouble. This is a cool deck. I haven't seen this one yet. And yep, it does look like it will be the white one. Just a little unfortunate that we couldn't find land for quite a while. How many white sources do we have? 1, 2, 3. They have 3 white sources. Burning Tree. Bone Crusher Giant. Any land they draw can either make a 2/2 or kill a creature. I think this turn they get the shrine that lets them drain for 5 a turn, and I think we're just dead. I don't think it's possible for us to win this game anymore. Oh, they got Honden of Cleansing Fire. So we have a little bit of time, but not a lot. And I think that's going to do it. Yeah, I think once they start gaining 10 life a turn, that'll do it. They just tap one of our creatures and kill us. So 1 and 2, we'll try to salvage a 3/2. But I think this has been a good example of how many things you can do in Historic. We've played 3 games. We've gotten 3 very different decks. And let's see if that continues. Yeah, this hand seems good. I'm happy with this one. Eliminate. Robber of the Rich. It's Oath of Kayad. Mistland 3 again. This is not a deck that's usually choked on mana too much, so a little unfortunate for the video. But it does happen. You know, all decks have issues like this. We're gonna go with Haste. That's going to kill Narset, and that's going to attack you.
I will meditate on defeat.
That was a pretty important draw there. We really needed a land. Oh, their turn is just putting Yorion into their hand. That's nice. So this Pelt Collector. Then we'll play Bone Crusher Giant. And deal some damage. That way when they play Yorion next turn, they'll Blank Oath, kill one of these. But we have Domri's Ambush that we can put on one of our 4-power creatures and kill the Yorion. Perfect. Bop bop. Now we attack for a lot. I think that was 12. So we're going to try to fade like a mass removal spell. And if we can do that...
Victory is just another puzzle to be. Consider the future. Then...
Yeah, we did it. Cool. So that Domri's Ambush was pretty good. It was also very important that we set up the turn to kill the Yorion in advance by just playing the Bone Crusher Giant. Making sure that no matter what they blinked, we would have a 4-power creature. If they killed the Spellbreaker, we have a 4-power creature with Bone Crusher Giant. If they killed the Bone Crusher Giant, we would have had a 4-power creature with the Pelt Collector. So we're 2-2. Let's see if we can make this a 3-2 video. We always try to do 5 games outside of the streamer preview event. Those we try to do 3 games so we can get more decks in. Yeah, this hand seems good, and we're on the play. Elf into Robber into Questing Beast. Our opponents... Ooh, Zerda. I've not seen a Zerda companion yet. I am intrigued. I am very interested. What are we working with, opponent? Oh, Zenith Flare, and we took one. Excellent. And they concede! They scoop! They have had enough. Alright. I did have fun in that match, thank you. I don't think the opponent did, but I did. And so we went 3-2. The last one was a little iffy, but we got there. And so let's go pull this back up one more time. Again, this is a great format. You saw 5 games, 5 totally different decks for our opponent. That is not an unusual thing in Best of 1 Historic. There are so many decks to play. No matter what your color preference, no matter what your playstyle preference, there is a deck for you. I highly recommend checking it out. This right here, Gruul Monsters, is one of the pillars of the format. You will run into it a lot. It is probably the most popular deck at the current time. But it's also really fun, and you saw there's a lot of decisions to be made. Anytime the popular deck involves making a lot of decisions and a lot of combat math, it's pretty good. We had a very interesting game against Rakdos Sacrifice, where we got to use the fact that you don't have to assign damage to every creature, even if you can, to win the game. We lost a mirror match. We got smoked by this really cool 5-color shrine deck, but even then, like, we had a chance to win if a couple draws broke our way. We defeated a Sultai. It looked like Sultai list. And we were able to take down... I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get to see the cycling deck in action, because I haven't seen cycling yet. But all in all, a great time. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy Historic. I hope to see you again pretty soon. There should be a lot of videos coming out in the near future for Historic. I'm going to try to release some 2 to 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, depending on how the week shakes out for me. And I'm going to try to keep it focused on Historic for a little while. Try to go through all these different decks that you can use. So thank you for watching. Hope you have a wonderful evening, day, whatever it is for you, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.